Part 18. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 171. Chapter 171 Chapter 171 None of the three children are biological. It is true that the more you fear something, the more it will come to you. Huang was desperately praying to God in her heart that no one would notice her bun. At this moment, the Taoist nun's voice sounded. Zhao Jianghai, come and see what this is. Following the position of the Taoist nun's fingers, everyone quickly discovered something stuck in the neck bone on the right side of the corpse. Zhao Jianghai pulled it a few times with his hand and soon found a yellow hairpin. Zhao Jianghai recognized at a glance that this hairpin was given to Mr. Huang by his second brother. Although this hairpin is made of copper, it is plated with gold. His wife once saw Mr. Huang wearing this hairpin and was envious. After returning home, she complained that he was a piece of wood and that no second brother would love his wife. In order to appease his wife, Zhao Jianghai had no choice but to buy a hairpin of similar style. Zhao Jianghai's heart was as cold as ice. His second brother felt very sorry for Huang. He would rather live frugally than save money to buy her jewelry. But Huang actually used this hairpin to kill his second brother. Seeing this hairpin, Mr. Huang was very flustered. Seeing Zhao Jianghai's face gloomy, he hurriedly said, "Brother, don't get me wrong. I gave this hairpin to Yishan before he transported goods to the south. Come to think of it, first, it is a thought for him, and secondly, if he is in trouble, he can sell the hairpin and exchange it for money." Ling Chu almost laughed out of anger at Wang's shamelessness. "Zhao Jianghai, your second brother said that Mrs. Huang has been taking good care of him since she married him. Please don't misunderstand her." Zhao Jianghai frowned, looking confused. What did the Taoist nun mean by this? Ling Chu did not explain, but just said, "Zhao Yishan asked me to tell you, if you don't understand, go to his house and take a look, and you will understand everything." At first, Mrs. Huang didn't understand why the Taoist nun suddenly spoke for her. But when she heard that she asked Zhao Jianghai to come to the house, she felt uneasy. Although Zhao Jianghai still didn't understand what Ling Chu meant, he knew that the Taoist nun had discovered his second brother's body and she had helped dig it out. He decided to go to his second brother's house first. Ms. Huang didn't want Zhao Jianghai to come to her home. Zhao Jianghai gave her a cold look and picked up Zhao Dabao next to him. Ms. Huang didn't expect that Zhao Jianghai would use her son to threaten her, so she subconsciously looked at Zhao Dingke. However, Zhao Dingke ignored him and instead wanted to sneak away quietly while others were not paying attention. Ling Chu had been guarding against him for a long time. With a wave of his hand, the small hammer hit him. Zhao Dingke fell to his knees on the ground with a bang, grinning in pain. Zhao Jianghai sneered and roughly handed Zhao Dabao in his arms to his wife Feng. Strode forward, grabbed Zhao Dingke by the collar, roughly pulled him up, and escorted him to Zhao Yishan's house. Zhao Dingke wanted to resist, but he had a gentle appearance and his strength could not match the tall and powerful Zhao Jianghai. Ms. Wang's expression changed, and she soon smiled again. She wanted to take Zhao Dabao back from her sister-in-law Feng Shi, but Feng Shi ignored her. He snorted through his nose, hugged Zhao Dabao, turned around and left. Worried about her son, Mrs. Huang could only endure her uneasiness and followed him. The group of people moved from Sun's house to Zhao Yishan's house not far away. Ling Chu saw that Zhao Yishan had calmed down and took back the amulet on his body. Zhao Yishan knew that she was helping him, so he lost all resentment in his heart and followed the group back to his home honestly. Standing in front of the gate, Zhao Yishan was angry and sad. This house was built with the money he worked hard to save, but now he can't get in. Ling Chu saw at a glance that Huang had put up a ghost-repelling charm on her house. No wonder Zhao Yishan couldn't go home to seek revenge from her. With a wave of his hand, he put the talisman away. "Zhao Jianghai, Huang, open the door. Mr. Huang casually touched his sleeves a few times, with a puzzled look on his face. Brother, the key can't be found. He wiped his face with a handkerchief and begged, brother, please put Yishan's bones first. Okay. A sudden loud noise interrupted Wang's words. Everyone turned their heads. The big lock that was just hung on the door is gone. Ling Chu calmly took back the hammer, pushed the door open and walked in. Zhao Yishan's ghost was already waiting inside. When he saw her coming in, he immediately led her to the backyard. Dig this place. Ling Chu pointed to a piece of land in the corner of the wall. Wang's face turned pale, fear making her legs weak. Several neighbors brought hose and dug it out in a short time. Seeing a lot of medicinal residue buried underneath, Zhao Jianghai asked Huang with a dark face, what is this? Huang said bravely, brother, this is the leftover dregs of the medicine I usually drink to keep myself healthy. Ling Chu glanced at her and said coolly, this is the medicine that Huang prepared for Zhao Yishan after he came in, but in fact it is the medicine that will cure the disease. Everyone was shocked. Huang had been tricking Zhao Yishan into drinking the Jueze medicine since he entered. So, Wang's 3 children are not Zhao Yishan's. Wang's face turned white and she roared at Ling Chu, nonsense, don't accuse people unjustly. Whether it's wrong or not, just ask a doctor to check it out. Oh, by the way, there are still a few packets of medicine that haven't been used up, and you hid them in the bamboo basket in the utility room. Wang's eyes stared at Ling Chu with fear and deep resentment. Bitch, you Taoist nun, I have no grievances with you, why are you trying to frame me? What good will it do you to ruin my life? Huang rushed toward Ling Chu crazily, but was knocked away by her hammer. Am I setting you up? You bought this Jueze medicine from Baiko Pavilion. The boy named Feng who dispensed the medicine for you is the same family as the boy named Feng Quan from Zhao Dingke's silk shop. The clothes and shoes Zhao Dingke wears are all made by you. There are also 2 boxes of clothes and shoes specially prepared for him in your bedroom. How about it, do you need me to continue? Zhao Jianghai quickly led people to find the medicine bag in the utility room, and dragged 2 large wooden boxes out of Wang's bedroom. Brother, don't listen to that Taoist nun's nonsense. I prepared these clothes for Yishan. Mrs. Feng pouted at her, you think we are stupid, can't you see that these clothes, shoes, and socks are exactly the same as those worn by Zhao Dingke? Moreover, the second brother is taller and fatter than him, how can you make excuses? Zhao Jianghai was so angry that he slapped Mr. Huang in the face, my second brother has given you my heart and soul. You have taken such good care of him. You are such a poisonous woman with a heart of snakes and scorpions. I can sink you into the pond. Zhao Yishan's last wish was to divorce his wife and let her leave the Zhao family with her 3 children. This is not because Ling Chu wanted to let Huang and Zhao Dingke go. But Zhao Yishan just asked her to help cast a small spell. He wrote a letter and personally delivered it to Zhao Dingke's wife Tong. It would be too easy for Huang to die. He showed his heart to Mr. Huang, but Ms. Huang killed him for Zhao Dingke. Zhao Dingke's wife is not a good person, let him see how Huang suffered under her hands. Thanks for the support of 120807140842384 monthly votes. I'm about to lose my bet, so I'm crying. Thanks to 201701312053234446, pros. BA, Zeng, 201703181914308335, Writing for the Future, Yanglia Bank, The Wind of the Blue Planet, UN1, VEFI, 854-519, A. Z, This Moment, Laughing with You, China Fuse, Don't Cry, Don't Make Trouble, Don't Show Off, 535-728, Silver Star, Light Gauze Makeup, Soft Fruit, Neither Cat nor Mouse Can Play, Why Do We Grow Old, 200908811, Red Bubbles and Green Bubbles, Love Has Passed Away, 140212184021428, 202305301154159407129776, 20230601621658, 202303061958333531, waiting for the recommendation votes from book friends. Thanks to Xiaoxiang's book friends for their support. Thanks to the book friends who support Hongxiu Tianxiang. End of this chapter. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 172. Chapter 172. This kind of person should sink into the pond. Xiangwu, all the money I earned during my lifetime was given to Huang for safekeeping, but most of it was given to Zhao Dingke by Huang. Can you ask Fairy Ant to help me get it back? I am willing to pay 100 taels as a reward. Zhao Yishan wants to divorce his wife instead of killing Mr. Huang, but before that, he must get all his money back. Ling Chu was in urgent need of money and merit, so he naturally did not refuse Zhao Yishan's request. The murder of Zhao Yishan was exposed, and Huang originally thought that he would die. Unexpectedly, it suddenly took a turn for the worse. Although the reputation of divorcing one's wife is not good, with her 3 children and Zhao Dingke's love for her, she is not afraid that she will not be able to enter Zhao Dingke's house. Ms. Huang was simply ecstatic that she could finally marry Zhao Dingke. She has waited for this moment for too long. Huang immediately wanted to clean up her relationship and marry Zhao Dingke instead. Unexpectedly, he was stopped by Ling Chu. Wait a minute, you can't take these things away. Ms. Huang immediately became angry. These are my dowry. Even if I am divorced, the dowry should be returned to me. Zhao Jianghai's wife, Feng Shi, sneered at her. Damn it, what do you have as a dowry? When you married your second brother, in addition to 3 taels of silver, you only brought 2 sets of clothes that were not old and new. Zhao Jianghai also said with a stern face, the money that my second brother has worked so hard to earn from traveling all over the country can't be taken away by a poisonous woman like you. Huang, you killed Zhao Yishan, how can you still have the nerve to take his family property? Bah, this kind of womanly and unruly woman should just sink into the pond. It's just too easy for her to clean up and leave the house. Humph, I didn't expect that Mr. Huang, who usually behaves softly and follows the rules, is all pretending, but secretly he would be so shameless, colluding with that Zhao Dingke. Listening to these sarcastic words, Wang's expression kept changing. Feng cursed a few words, took several women with him, and rummaged through Wang's house for all the valuable things. Although Ms. Huang felt distressed, she was secretly relieved. Fortunately, she hid all the valuable things. After the incident, she could just come back and take them away secretly. Looking at the few pieces of jewelry and dozens of taels of silver that Feng found out, Zhao Jianghai frowned and said, my second brother's family wealth is definitely more than this. Ms. Huang looked angry, all the valuable things are here. Zhao Yishan can only earn a few dozen taels of silver from selling goods. There are many children in the family and the expenses are high, so how much silver is left? Even though Zhao Jianghai and his wife did not believe what Huang said, they searched the house and found nothing else of value. Huang was very proud that no one could find what she had hidden. But suddenly a loud noise came, shattering her pride. Seeing the wooden box that was smashed with a small hammer, Huang wanted to tear Ling Chu apart. You, a Taoist nun, came to my house uninvited and smashed it at will. You are really bullying me. Ling Chu glanced at her casually and said calmly, you are wrong, I did not come uninvited. It was Zhao Yishan who personally invited me to come over to help him collect debts. Everything you owe him must be paid back. Also, Zhao Yishan is divorcing his wife, and this house is no longer your home. Don't tell me that if I smash a box, even if I demolish the house, you won't be able to do anything about it. Huang was so angry that she vomited blood, but she could not refute. It's just a wooden box. I can smash it if I want. Now that my second brother is gone, I can do whatever I want with the things in this house. Although Zhao Jianghai didn't know why Gu wanted to smash a box, if it hadn't been for her, he wouldn't have known that his second brother had been killed by Huang, a poisonous woman and an adulterer. Ling Chu ignored Wang's cannibalistic gaze and pointed at the mouse hole exposed behind the box and motioned to Zhao Jianghai, dig out the contents. Zhao Jianghai looked suspicious, digging a mouse hole? Feng was impatient. He walked forward quickly, kicked the smashed box aside, then squatted down and reached out to dig into the mouse hole. He quickly took out a package and took it out. There are 7 or 8 pieces of gold jewelry inside. Zhao Yishan had purchased all of them over the years. He originally planned to use them as dowry gifts for his 2 daughters and son when they were older. But those 3 children were all born to Huang and Zhao Dingke, so naturally Zhao Yishan would not leave these jewelry to them. Boom! Huang was still feeling distressed about the jewelry, and Ling Chu smashed another old wooden box with a hammer. What are you doing? This is the dowry box I brought from my parents' home. It was smashed. Do you want to pay for it? Ms. Feng glared at Ms. Huang with disdain. Bah, it's just a few broken pieces of wood, and you still have the nerve to pay for it. You should first vomit out all the things you have eaten and used from our Zhao family over the years. Huang was so angry that she almost went to heaven. You. Boom. Hearing the familiar sound of smashing, Huang turned his head and saw the broken wooden box, and his lungs exploded with anger. Smelly bitch. Ling Chu's face sank. Swearing requires physical strength, so it would be better to just do it. Raise your hand and pinch your fingers in the air and throw it towards Huang. Snapped. The curses stopped. Everyone present looked at Huang with disdain. You are a shameless who steals other people's men. Where do you get the shame to call others a bitch? That is, she is shameless herself, so she thinks that others are as shameless as her. This bad woman has ruined the reputation of our village, so she should be put to death. Hearing about Shentang, Mr. Huang was afraid. Although he didn't dare to speak again, he stared at Ling Chu with eyes that made him want to eat her alive. Ling Chu ignored it and pointed to the bottom of the box and said, there is something in the mezzanine. Zhao Jianghai pushed aside some old clothes in the box, opened the bottom of the box in 2s and 2s, and sure enough he saw oil paper bags hidden inside. After opening it, there was a stack of large and small banknotes inside. No wonder they couldn't find it. It was hidden in the middle of the box. Wang's heart aches so much that she bleeds, but there is nothing she can do. I can only comfort myself. Fortunately I can finally marry the one I love. Ms. Huang packed some clothes and took her 3 young children with her, preparing to follow Zhao Dingke home. Originally, when the murder of Zhao Yishan was exposed, Zhao Dingke thought he would not be able to get a favor. Unexpectedly, Zhao Jianghai didn't pursue the matter. He breathed a sigh of relief and immediately left with Huang and the 3 children. Ling Chu waited for half a quarter of an hour and estimated that they had arrived home. Then he called Zhao Jianghai and Feng, let's go to Zhao Dingke's house. Although Zhao Jianghai and his wife didn't know why the Taoist nun took them to Zhao Dingke's house, she must have her own reasons for doing so. The couple didn't ask any questions. They collected the jewelry and banknotes they found and left. They are all from the same village, and Zhao Dingke's family is not far away. Hearing a knock on the door, Mr. Huang came over to open the door. Seeing Ling Chu and his party, he shouted angrily, why are you following us? I have nothing to do with Zhao Yishan anymore, and I haven't taken away any money. What else do you want? Ling Chu glanced at her and said softly, what else can I do? Of course I'm here to collect debts. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 173. Chapter 173, Chase Home. What kind of debt are you asking for? I don't owe any money. Wang's anger was soaring to the sky. It was not enough for this dead Taoist nun to destroy her, and she even chased her to Zhao Dingke's house. She and Zhao Dingke didn't have a wedding, so she came to his house with her 3 children. She was worried that his parents would be displeased with her and wanted to show off. This Taoist nun brought someone to make trouble again. She was deliberately trying to prevent him from doing so. She's better off. Ling Chu sneered, you haven't returned Zhao Yishan's house deed, land deed, and land deed yet. They are not your dowry. Zhao Jianghai and his wife were shocked by Zhao Yishan's death earlier, but now they remembered those contracts after hearing Ling Chu's words. Huang, please hand over the contract quickly. Huang didn't expect them to think of this so quickly. She dodged her eyes and said after a while, I don't know about house deeds and land deeds. Zhao Yishan didn't give me these things. I don't have these in my hand. If you want it, go ahead, ask him, not me. How is it possible? My second brother has entrusted all the family property to you for safekeeping. Ling Chu nodded, she really doesn't have any on hand, because she gave all those things to Zhao Dingke. It was precisely because she knew that everything was at Zhao Dingke's house that she brought Zhao Jianghai and others over. Zhao Jianghai was so angry when he heard that Huang had given everything to Zhao Dingke. She pushed Huang away and walked inside. Huang was pushed and staggered, but no one sympathized with her. The villagers who followed her to watch the fun didn't even look at her. Zhao Dingke, hand over all the deeds to my second brother's house. Zhao Dingke, his parents, and 3 children were having dinner. When they saw Zhao Jianghai bringing so many villagers to his home, he was so angry that he turned blue in the face. He glared at Huang secretly with dissatisfaction. Zhao Dingke's parents even scolded Mr. Huang, it's useless. Even a few people couldn't stop him. Huang was wronged, but she didn't dare to talk back. Zhao Dingke pretended to be dumbfounded and said, I don't know what you are talking about. I never took your family's deed. Ling Chu knew that he would not admit it easily, so he simply turned on the system scan. Things are clear at a glance. Hurry over and grab the baggage placed aside. Zhao Dingke immediately became anxious, what are you doing? You broke into other people's houses in broad daylight to rob things. Is there any law against this? Seeing him rushing over to it, Ling Chu raised his foot and kicked him away. He opened the bag and took out a few pieces of paper. Didn't you say you didn't get the contract from Zhao Yishan's family? What is this? Seeing clearly what the Taoist nun was holding, the villagers felt contempt for Zhao Dingke. He was really shameless. The thing was clearly in his hand, but he didn't dare to admit it. Zhao Dingke was angry and regretful. He had been short of money recently. When he came back this time, he planned to mortgage the deeds. If he hadn't wanted to find Mr. Huang to be gentle with him, he would have exchanged the deeds for money. It's too late to regret now. Zhao Dingke glared at Ling Chu and his group with a sullen face, you can get out now that you have your things. Ling Chu sneered, it's impossible to get out of here. I haven't gotten my money back yet. Silver. Zhao Dingke's heart tightened. In the past few years, Mr. Huang has given all the money that Zhao Yishan has earned to you during this time. You have coaxed 1,230 taels away from Ms. Huang and paid back the money. Zhao Dingke pursed his lips and said nothing. Why should he give back the money he coaxed with his ability? Seeing that he was unwilling to pay back the money, Zhao Jianghai couldn't help but sneer, although my second brother wants to divorce his wife, I haven't written a divorce letter on my second brother's behalf. Why, Huang and the 3 children don't want her anymore. Zhao Jianghai wanted to threaten the Huang family and make Zhao Dingke pay back the money. But Zhao Dingke was unmoved. More than 1,000 taels, it was more painful than cutting flesh. Zhao Dingke's parents shouted directly, "Do you want any money? If you want Mrs. Huang and the 3 children, take them away immediately." Seeing that Zhao Dingke did not object to his parents' words, Mr. Huang was in disbelief. His eyes widened and he was about to cry, "Brother Cai." If Zhao Dingke had seen Huang like this, he would have been heartbroken, but now he was as blind as if he couldn't see. Zhao Dingke's parents said to Mr. Huang impatiently, "Since they are not from our family, you should take the children and leave quickly." The 2 elders always knew that their son liked Mrs. Huang, but because her family could not afford a dowry, they forced him to marry a wealthy girl named Tong in the town. They also knew very well that their son had 3 children with Mr. Huang after their marriage. "Originally I thought that if my son married a daughter of the Tong family, they would also get a lot of benefits if the Tong family was rich. But he didn't expect that Mrs. Tong would keep the money in his own hands, and his son would ask him for any money he needed. The son has no money, let alone what benefits they can get from the Tong family." Unexpectedly, after marrying Zhao Yishan, Mr. Huang gave all the family's money to their son and had 3 children with him. Regarding this matter, Zhao Dingke's parents are naturally happy to see it happen. After all, they can also get some benefits from the money their son coaxed from the Huang family. The 3 children are even helped by Zhao Yishan, who doesn't have to spend half a penny. It's a pity that now that Zhao Yishan is dead and Huang has no money in her hands, they will have to help her raise 3 children in the future, so they are naturally not happy. What's more, Zhao Jianghai still wants to get back the 1,213 taels of silver from them. That would be no different than killing them. Compared with that huge sum of money, they would rather not have those 3 children. Although it is a pity that the grandchildren are gone, the Tong family can still have children, and they do not worry about having no sons. Ms. Huang was heartbroken when she saw that Zhao Dingke's parents wanted to drive her away with their 3 children, but Zhao Dingke didn't object. She and Zhao Dingke were originally in love, but his parents thought her dowry was too small and forced him to marry Tong. But the Tong family was not only fat and ugly, but also had a fierce and jealous temper, which did not please Zhao Dingke. Zhao Dingke always came to see her secretly after his marriage, and she couldn't let him go. In order to stay with him forever, she married Zhao Yishan from the same village. Zhao Yishan is dark and rude, as unattractive as a piece of wood. Without Zhao Dingke's gentleness and sweet words, Mr. Huang would not even want to have a child with him. After the marriage, Zhao Dingke bought the Jueza medicine and boiled it for Zhao Yishan to drink, pretending that it was a medicine for his health. She gave almost all of the money Zhao Yishan gave her to Zhao Dingke. She originally thought that Zhao Dingke loved her so much and had 3 children to support him. Zhao Dingke would never be able to do without her in his life. But she didn't expect that now she and her 3 children would have to be given up for those 1,230 taels. She had always wanted to marry Zhao Dingke, but now she was about to be kicked out within a quarter of an hour after entering his house. Could it be that all the things she wanted so much for were in vain? Huang stared blankly at Zhao Dingke, unwilling to believe that he would be so heartless to her. There is no way to threaten Zhao Dingke with the Huang family and 3 children to pay back the money, and Zhao Jianghai doesn't know what to do. Ling Chu didn't say anything and just took out a small hammer. Thanks to 201703181914308335, 201710062015571126, 2022020422044197, 202111281903135334, Jiangnan Fuiao and other book friends for their monthly support. Thank you. Z, China Fuse, Yang Luan, Zeng, Even Cats and Mice Don't Play, 854 729, Happy Reading, Kingsha Makeup, Silver Star, 641,417, Why We Grow Old, Prose. BA202303061958333531. 20230601621658. 1402121840214228. Pigs on a sunny day. 20210301106477388302. Supported by the recommendation votes of book friends such as 202303061958333531. Thanks to the book friends Hongxiu and Xiaoxiang for their support. End of this chapter. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 174. Chapter 174. The main wife comes to the door. Huang looked at Zhao Dingke sadly, with a pear blossom in the rain, hoping to arouse his love and pity and leave her with the child. But Zhao Dingke kept staring at the ground with his head down, feeling guilty, and did not respond to her. Neither of them noticed that Ling Chu had summoned a little hammer. Although Zhao Dingke's parents saw the little hammer, they didn't take it seriously. On the other hand, Zhao Jianghai and others suddenly became excited. Ling Chu didn't talk nonsense. With a wave of his hand, the small hammer went straight to the beam above the house. A dark wooden box with carved flowers and birds fell from the beam and hit the ground. The box was torn into pieces, and a stack of silver notes and a dozen silver ingots rolled out of it. Zhao Dingke's parents saw the thing falling out and immediately rushed towards it screaming. But their movements were not as fast as those of Zhao Jianghai and his wife. When they saw Ling Chu take out a small hammer, they kept staring. As soon as the box fell, the couple rushed over and grabbed the items. Although Zhao Dingke's parents wanted to it back, they were old and simply no match for Zhao Jianghai and his wife. What's more, the neighbors who came to watch the excitement blocked them intentionally or unintentionally, and also mocked them. Zhao Dingke glared at Ling Chu with a gloomy expression. It was this Taoist nun who had repeatedly ruined his good deeds. Had it not been for outsiders, he would have really wanted to kill her. Ling Chu saw the murderous intent in Zhao Dingke's eyes, but she ignored it. A wave of the hand. Boom. The small hammer smashed the 8 immortals table into pieces. A few yellow-orange gold bars fell out. Zhao Dingke's parents rushed towards the gold bar like crazy. Zhao Dingke was worried that they still couldn't catch Zhao Jianghai and his wife, so he rushed forward quickly. Unexpectedly, Zhao Jianghai pulled out the dagger he used to kill Zhao Yishan, stepped forward in a few steps, and stood in front of the 3 of them. Who dares to try it? Zhao Dingke killed my second brother. I just took back his family property. If you dare to rob it, I can sacrifice your life as a memorial. Seeing the dagger in his hand and the ferocity on his face, Zhao Dingke and his parents could only stop in their tracks. Ms. Feng glanced at her husband with admiration, stepped forward quickly, picked up the gold bars one by one, and put them away. The money they had worked so hard to hide was gone in the blink of an eye, and the family of 3 was heartbroken and bleeding. Since Zhao Dingke didn't dare to attack Zhao Jianghai, his mother, you could only pick the weak one. He rushed towards Ling Chu with overwhelming anger. I'm going to fight you. It's a pity that you made a mistake. Ling Chu was not the soft persimmon she thought. Just when she thought she was about to succeed, Ling Chu quickly dodged to the side. You couldn't hold back her strength, hit the wall with a bang, and slid to the ground again. I immediately saw stars in my eyes, and I didn't recover for a long time. Huang hurriedly walked over and wanted to help her up. Unexpectedly, She slapped him with a backhand. He pushed her hard with both hands and said, "You disaster star, stay away from me." Without any precautions, Huang fell backward and squatted on her butt. Huang was frightened and angry, and wanted to get angry, but thinking that this was Zhao Dingke's mother, she had to force herself to suppress her anger. Hutching his cheek, he turned to look at Zhao Dingke with an aggrieved face, trying to arouse his pity. But Zhao Dingke didn't even look at her. He walked over and helped his mother up. Huang's heart felt cold. This is the person who keeps saying that he loves her the most in his life, but doesn't want her to be wronged at all? Ling Chu shook his head. Huang couldn't stand it now. What makes her even more desperate is what lies behind. Boom. The door of Zhao's house was suddenly kicked. 3 tall men walked into Zhao's house, surrounded by an obese woman with angry expressions on their faces. Seeing this group of people, Zhao Dingke's expression changed. Yu Shi was also stunned. The visitors are Zhao Dingke's wife, Tong, and her 3 brothers. This is the main room coming to the door. Ling Chu simply stepped aside and gave up the court to Tong, waiting for Huang to be slapped in the face. Although Mrs. Huang didn't know Mrs. Tong, she roughly guessed her identity. Unknown whether she didn't want to lose face in front of Tong or wanted to demonstrate, Huang quickly got up, stood next to Zhao Dingke, and reached out to hold his sleeve. Seeing this scene, Mrs. Tong was furious. You Zhao Dingke, you said every now and then that you would go home to take care of your parents, but it turned out that you were fooling around with other vixens, and you dared to give birth to 3 without telling me. Mr. Tong was taking care of business in her own silk shop. When she turned around, she suddenly found a piece of paper in front of her. There are 2 things written on the paper. One is that Zhao Dingke raised a woman in his hometown and gave birth to 3 children. Second, the body tonifying medicine that Zhao Dingke brewed for her was mixed with the anti-aging medicine. At first, Mrs. Tong didn't believe what was written on this piece of paper, but she couldn't help but become suspicious after thinking that she had not been pregnant with a child for several years after getting married. I asked the doctor to take a pulse, but I didn't expect it to be true. Tong was so furious. Zhao Dingke could have raised a woman without telling her, but he had the audacity to give her a killer drug. How could she endure this? Tong immediately returned to her parents' home, took her 3 brothers, and went straight to Zhao Dingke's hometown. Seeing Mrs. Huang holding Zhao Dingke's sleeve, Mrs. Tong was so angry that smoke was rising from her head. He rolled up his sleeves, rushed forward, grabbed Huang's hair with one hand, and slapped her in the face more than a dozen times with the other hand. Huang didn't expect that Tong would start beating him without saying a word, screaming and trying to dodge. But her weak body could not withstand Tong's posture. Unable to break free, he had no choice but to turn to Zhao Dingke to save his life. But at this time, Zhao Dingke had too much time to take care of himself. He was being suppressed, beaten, and kicked by Tong's 3 brothers. Seeing their son being beaten, Zhao Dingke's parents howled and rushed forward to stop him. Tong's 3 brothers were irritated by the fact that Zhao Dingke gave his sister a killer drug. Out of anger, he beat Zhao Dingke's parents several times without caring about the face of his in-laws. Seeing how badly Zhao Dingke was beaten, the onlookers sympathized with him and originally wanted to step forward and help him. But Tong's eldest brother revealed the fact that Zhao Dingke had administered the killer medicine. Now, no one sympathizes with Zhao Dingke at all. By the time Tong and her 3 brothers stopped, Huang and Zhao Dingke had been beaten beyond recognition. Seeing their son being beaten miserably, his parents did not dare to say a word even though they were angry. He could only swallow his anger and say to Mrs. Tong, "You misunderstood. Cair did not marry Mrs. Huang into the family. She is the wife of Zhao Yishan." Zhao Jianghai sneered and threw the divorce letter he had just written on behalf of Zhao Yishan in front of Huang. "Our family is not lucky enough to have such a sly-hearted woman. Huang and Zhao Dingke have 3 children, so she is naturally from your family." Huang grabbed the divorce letter. Although she was angry, she breathed a sigh of relief. Finally she no longer has to bear the name of Zhao Yishan's wife. MRSU originally wanted Mrs. Huang to take the children and get out of their house, but she swallowed the words as soon as they reached her lips. The son gave Ms. Tong a drug that would prevent her from having children in the future. If Ms. Huang and the child were driven away, wouldn't their family be extinct? Yesterday, Chinese Valentine's Day, everyone was busy celebrating the festival, and there were very few people voting. Lashao lost to the author next door. Wow! Cried. Dash dot. Can I also ask for a ticket to comfort my wounded heart? End of this chapter. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 175. Chapter 175, My intestines are full of regret. Tong's three brothers are not good people to begin with. Knowing that their sister has been drugged by her brother-in-law, they are not polite to attack her. Zhao Dingke felt that most of his life was gone. Seeing that the three uncles finally stopped, I was secretly relieved. Zhao Dingke's parents were also beaten with bruises on their noses and faces. They collapsed on the ground. Although the anger in their hearts was about to burn through the roof, they did not dare to say a word in front of Tong's three brothers. Zhao Dingke thought he had finally been beaten, but as soon as he breathed a sigh of relief, the three uncles raised their fists again. Zhao Dingke trembled with fright and hurriedly held his head and begged for mercy. Don't fight, I was wrong, I was wrong. If you don't want to, I won't let Mr. Huang and the three children in. Huang covered her swollen cheeks and stared at Zhao Dingke in disbelief. After a long while, she yelled at him angrily, Brother Cai, if you don't let me and my three children in, what will happen to our three mothers? How will you let us orphans and widowers live? Although MRSU wants a grandson, it can be seen that her son has been beaten so badly. The three brothers of Mr. Tong are still unwilling to give up. They don't know how to stop him, but Ms. Huang has no intention to win and insists on rushing in at this time. Fearing that Mrs. Huang's words would irritate Tong's three brothers, Mr. Yu hurriedly shouted at her, Shut up, and get out of our Zhao family with your three children quickly. There are so many men in the world, and without our family's wealth, son, you can still find other men. Anyway, you are divorced now, so you don't have to worry about being discovered by your husband. You can go find whoever you want, and you will definitely starve to death. Mrs. Huang was so angry that she was trembling with anger at MRSU's words. She wanted to scold her back at all costs, but unfortunately she was so angry that she pointed her finger at MRSU, but she couldn't hold back a word for a long time. She even pointed her finger in anger. Zhao Dingke did not expect that his mother would say those words. The words he just admitted that he was wrong were just to deal with his three uncles. He gave Mrs. Tong a drug that would prevent her from having children for the rest of her life. He was reluctant to get rid of the three children Mr. Huang gave birth to. He just wanted to get through the current difficulties first, and then slowly coax Huang back. Anyway, Mrs. Huang has been divorced, and besides him, she has no one else to rely on. Zhao Dingke just wanted to let Huang and the child leave for the time being. As long as he said a few sweet words to her, she would definitely follow him wholeheartedly. Although he married Tong for money, Tong was not as fond as Huang in terms of figure, appearance, or temperament. He still had feelings for Huang. But now seeing that Mrs. Huang is so angry with her mother, I am really afraid that she will go out of her way to find another man. In desperation, she hurriedly said to MRSU, Mom, how could you say that? Mrs. Huang. Brother Tong interrupted him with a sneer, Why, are you feeling distressed now? Tong's other two brothers rolled up their sleeves and said, Brother, why are you talking so much nonsense to him? If you have time, you might as well beat this kid to death and finish it off once and for all. Zhao Dingke saw that they did not look like joking, so he was so frightened that he shut up and did not dare to speak for Huang anymore. Zhao Dingke's parents hurriedly apologized and said, Misunderstanding, Caier didn't mean that he doesn't feel sorry for Mr. Huang. The eldest brother of the Tong family looked sideways at the two elders, I don't feel sorry for the Huang family, but what do you mean? Zhao Dingke's parents had been asking for help for a long time, but they were so anxious and worried that their minds were in confusion and they couldn't think of any decent excuse. Tong's second brother said impatiently, "Brother, what nonsense are you talking to them about? Since this kid is so bold as to give my sister a killer drug, it's really hard to get rid of the hatred in my heart if I don't beat him to death." Tong's third brother didn't even bother to say anything. He rolled up his sleeves and punched Zhao Dingke in the chest. There was a muffled sound, and Zhao Dingke immediately howled miserably. Seeing that he was beaten, Mrs. Huang felt angry and distressed, but she did not dare to step forward to stop him. Just now, Mr. Tong alone had beaten her half to death. If she dared to step forward to stop him, if Mr. Tong's three brothers beat her to death, where would she go to complain? Seeing their son being beaten again, Zhao Dingke's parents felt extremely distressed, but they did not dare to step forward to stop him again. After all, those three dogs had no sense of measure in their attacks. Both of them were afraid that their old arms and legs would be damaged and they would report to the Lord of Hell if they couldn't withstand a few punches. Zhao Dingke's parents did not dare to step forward to stop him. They only dared to cry and beg Tong's three brothers to stop. But the three men turned a deaf ear to their cries and began to punch them hard enough to make a loud banging sound. Tong waited for the three brothers to beat him for another quarter of an hour. Seeing that Zhao Dingke was about to stop moving, he called out to stop. "Sister, why are you trying to stop us? This has no conscience and deserves to be beaten to death. Do you still want to keep him?" "Brother, what are you talking about? Am I that kind of stupid person? I just don't want the three of you to bear the murder case for such a scumbag. He's not worth it." "Then what do you want to do?" "What else can I do? Since Mrs. Huang wants to join my Zhao family, and she has given birth to 3 children to Zhao Dingke, I should help bring her into the family." Ling Chu raised his eyebrows and asked Huang to come in. This Tong doesn't seem to be the kind of person who can tolerate concubines. Tong's second brother suddenly became anxious. "Sister, are you stupid? How could you let Huang and the 3 children in? With them here, Zhao Dingke will still see you in his eyes in the future." Tong ignored the dissuasion of her 3 brothers, found a piece of paper and brushed it a few times, wrote the concubinage document, and threw it to Huang to sign. Huang was suspicious. She didn't know why Tong suddenly agreed to let her in, but she couldn't think about it at this time. She wanted to marry Zhao Dingke so much. Now the opportunity was right in front of her, and she couldn't lose this opportunity no matter what. Although being a concubine made her dissatisfied, she also knew that based on her status, as long as Mrs. Tong was alive, she could not be the main wife. Just be a concubine. She believed that with her 3 children and Zhao Dingke's love for her, her life would never be worse than that of Tong's wife. After weighing the pros and cons, Huang immediately grabbed a pen and signed. Zhao Dingke and his parents did not expect that Mrs. Tong would be willing to let Mrs. Huang and her children in, but they were happy to see it happen, so naturally they would not stop it. Tong took a casual look at the concubinage document and put it in her sleeve pocket. Turning to his 3 brothers, he said, "Take Zhao Dingke to the Yamen. I will sue him for spoiling his concubine and killing his wife. I heard that he also killed someone. Please report this matter to the Yamen as well." Zhao Dingke and Zhao's father and mother suddenly collapsed to the ground. But Tong didn't even look at it, and ordered the maidservant who followed, "Take Mrs. Huang and the 3 children back. From now on, I will leave the chores of washing the toilet bowl to Mrs. Huang at home, and then find some work for the 3 children, our family doesn't raise idle people." Ms. Huang collapsed on the ground, her intestines turning green at this moment. Is this the result of her longing for it? Thanks to King Shizhuang Chuang, Niu Xingtiangxia, 20230422222338222531, Pigs on a Sunny Day, Zheng, China Fuse, Dongshan Laiyao, UN 1. 20170318191430835854 729, Pros. BA, Dream Circle 595, A. Purple Leaves, 200908111, Forget Me Not, neither cat nor mouse can play, can't think of a solution, stomachache, noisy, pick up a pen to think about the future, why we grow old, 20230306195833531, 2023060162165 Chi Kai De Sheng and other book friends recommendation votes support it. Thanks to Xiaoxiang's book friends for their support. Thanks to the book friends who support Hongxiu Tianxiang. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 176. Chapter 176 There is no return. When Mrs. Huang saw that those women were actually trying to pull her and her 3 children away, she was so frightened and angry that she yelled at Mrs. Tong, "How could you do this to me and my children?" Tong slapped her with a backhand and smiled contemptuously, "But even a cheap concubine dares to yell at me. If I am happy in the future, you will be a rough lady for our family. If I am unhappy, then find out which brothel offers the highest price, and go there to sell yourself. Don't you like to seduce men? When you enter a brothel, you don't need to seduce. There will always be plenty of men for you to sleep with." Seeing Mrs. Tong glaring at her fiercely, Mrs. Huang couldn't help but beg Zhao Dingke in panic, Brother Cai, save us. Dabao is the only son of your Zhao family. He can't be beaten to death." Zhao Dingke has no time to pay attention to Huang at this moment. He is begging Tong's 3 brothers to let him go. As long as he is not handed over to the Yamen, he will definitely change his ways and treat Tong well. His parents also smiled apologetically and put in good words for their son. Wang's pleading made Yu's anger rise. If this vixen hadn't seduced her son, there wouldn't be so many things happening now. Yu was so angry that she rushed over and slapped Huang with her backhand. "Why save me? Tong is the wife, she is the mother of several children. She is just teaching a few children. You are blind here, what are you yelling about? Also, it is your duty as a concubine to serve your mistress. From now on, you mothers will follow you into the city, and you will live in high-end mansions, and those who call slaves and maids at home will enjoy your happiness. What else are you dissatisfied with?" Seeing that her son was about to be taken to the Yamen prison, and he might even lose his life, even if Mr. Huang and the children had to make a living in the hands of Mr. Tong, at least they could still live well and not have to go to jail. This is already a great blessing, what else is there to be dissatisfied about? The more she thought about it, the angrier she became. Fearing that she would say something that would irritate Tong and her 3 brothers, she slapped Huang on the face several times and then stopped. Huang's face, which was already blue and purple, was now swollen beyond measure. She finally realized that begging Zhao Dingke was of no use. He was like a mud Buddha crossing the river, and he couldn't protect himself. How could he take care of her and her children? Seeing the 3 children being pulled and crying by the women, she finally panicked and knelt down towards Tong. "I was wrong. I don't want to be a concubine anymore. As long as you let me and the 3 children go, I will never let you go. I will not meet Zhao Dingke, nor will I enter the Zhao family." Tong sneered, unmoved by her plea. "I realized my mistake now, it's too late. Who do you think our Zhao family is, that you can come in and leave whenever you want? How come she doesn't know what's wrong when she's hanging out with her husband? Mrs. Huang has children and a daughter, and enjoys her husband's favor. But what about her? That Zhao Dingke gave her a killer drug just because of such a bitch, causing her to never have the chance to be a mother in her life. She was extremely kind by not killing this pair of on the spot. Didn't Zhao Dingke love this bitch? He would torture her and then sell her to a brothel and be ridden by thousands of people, making him spend the rest of his life regretting it. In fact, there is no need to wait until later. Zhao Dingke already regrets it now. However, no matter how much he repented and begged, he was still taken to the Yamen by Tang's three brothers. On the other hand, Mrs. Huang and her three children were dragged back to the county town by the maid brought by Mrs. Tang, crying. Zhao's father and Zhao's mother were lying on the ground crying, but no one paid attention to them. Zhao Yishan's puppet soul had no sympathy for Wang's fate. He treated her heart and soul and gave her every coin he had earned through hard work, but she turned around and gave all the money to that Zhao Dingke. As soon as they got married, he secretly gave himself a killer drug, fooled around with Zhao Dingke, and even joined forces with him to kill him. What you sow, you get what you get. She is entirely to blame for her current outcome. Zhao Yishan floated in front of Ling Chu and kowtowed to her. Since his death, he has always wanted to take revenge on Huang and Zhao Dingke. But the couple had talismans on them to ward off evil spirits, and there were also talismans posted in the house, so he couldn't get close at all. Huang stole a man, gave him a killer drug, and was even killed by the couple. In addition, he discovered that none of the three children were his biological children, and would be crushed under the Sun family's pigsty after death. Zhao Yishan's puppet soul became more and more resentful day by day. Unable to take revenge, he could only take out his anger on the Sun family's poultry. I accidentally discovered that after absorbing the evil spirit, my puppet soul could come into contact with some animals, but there was still nothing I could do against Huang. So he searched everywhere for evil spirits, hoping to strengthen his abilities and seek revenge on the dog couple. I accidentally broke into Mrs. Hu's house and saw her daughter-in-law Huang. I thought that she and my daughter-in-law were from the same village and had the same surname. Moreover, their children were the same age and fat in appearance. They were both named Dabao. Out of hatred, he set a fire at Mrs. Hu's house, intending to burn Mr. Huang and Yang Dabao to death. Unexpectedly, he was discovered by the Taoist nun invited by Sun. Originally, Zhao Yishan was resentful of this Taoist nun at first, but now he is full of gratitude. If it hadn't been for this Taoist nun, his body might still have been buried under the pig pen of the Sun family. No one would have known that he had been killed long ago, and the crimes of Huang and Zhao Dingke would not have been exposed. Ling Chu accepted Zhao Yishan's gift and received the merits rewarded by the system before leaving with the two maids. When Zhao Jianghai and Sun saw that she was leaving, they each offered their thanks. Shortly after Ling Chu got on the carriage, she fell asleep again. She would seize every opportunity to take good care of her body. I was sleeping soundly when suddenly my mind felt tingling. Before I could open my eyes, I suddenly noticed that the big shovel and small hammer rushed out of the system automatically. Ling Chu was shocked and suddenly woke up. Open your eyes immediately and quickly turn over and sit up. Just when I wanted to check where the shovel and hammer had gone, an alarm suddenly sounded in my mind. Ding! Level 1 danger detected. Please host to defend yourself. If the host is killed, the system will automatically unbind. At the same time as the system alarm sounded in my mind, there was a crisp sound outside. It turned out to be a hidden arrow, but luckily it was blocked by the shovel. Ling Chu stretched out his hand to lift a corner of the curtain, and a row of arrows shot towards her carriage with a piercing sound in the air. It turned out that someone was here to assassinate her. The shovel and the hammer rushed out of the system first to protect her. Ling Chu had a cold face and waved his hand. The shovel immediately began to spin wildly around the carriage. After a dense clanging sound, all the sharp arrows that were shot were bounced back by the shovel. The little hammer chased the sharp arrow back along the original path. Soon, after more than a dozen screams, the scene fell silent. Hey, the monthly vote list actually fell out of the top 100. Asking for votes. Asking for votes. Asking for votes. Say important things 3 times. End of this chapter. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 177. Chapter 177. Why didn't she die? Ling Chu glanced expressionlessly at the dozens of corpses lying silently in the system scan, and popped a handful of ashes in his hand out of the car window. She dared to allow so many assassins to kill at the feet of the Emperor in broad daylight. She could probably guess that the person behind this was the second prince. Since time traveling, she has been living a low-key and tolerant life. She just wants to do her best to earn money and merit to prolong her life. But there are always people who have trouble with her. She didn't want to confront the second prince, but because she helped Ning Chui last time, he wanted to get rid of her again and again. If she didn't fight back, anyone would want to round her up and flatten her. I just hope that by killing the chicken and the monkey this time, those who think she can bully them at will can carefully consider whether she is a soft persimmon. Ling Chu put the shovel and small hammer back into the system and quietly told Xiaoji, who was driving the car, go to Fuyuan Street. Originally, she was going back home, but just when she used the shovel and hammer to deal with the assassin, she absorbed another jade stone. Of the 2 pieces of jadeite that Ning Chui gave her, only one is left. She had to buy a few more pieces to prepare. If one day someone still sent people to assassinate her without opening her eyes, she had to be able to protect herself. Xiaoji was originally frightened by those hidden arrows, but seeing that they were all blocked by the shovel, she finally breathed a sigh of relief. Although he heard the screams just now, Xiaoji didn't know that all those who attacked him were dead, and he was worried that they would come to kill him again. Hearing that Ling Chu asked her to go to Fuyuan Street, she quickly drove away in a carriage. Just as the carriage started moving, Ling Chu smelled the smell of corpses. Knowing that something was wrong, he immediately flipped his wrist and took out a stack of ghost-repelling charms. Just for a moment, more than a dozen swords slashed at the carriage. Fortunately, these swords were transformed into evil spirits. If these were real swords and guns, the carriage would have been torn apart. With a wave of his hand, the stack of ghost-repelling charms was thrown out immediately. The puppet souls were immediately bounced away by the talisman. Ling Chu opened the car curtain and saw a dozen assassins in black lying on the ground. These assassins had sharp arrows stuck in their foreheads and had large dents in their knees. What people are like before death is what they will be like after death. At first glance, these assassins looked like the people who had failed to assassinate her just now and were killed by shovels and small hammers instead. Unexpectedly, these assassins were so loyal that they still came to kill her with due diligence even when they became puppet spirits. Seeing the dozen puppet souls getting up from the ground, they slashed at her with swords. Ling Chu simply got out of the carriage with the Bodhi whip. The assassins had just died and had no idea how powerful the Bodhi whip was, so they all came over with their swords. In order to save energy, Ling Chu first hit them with a whip, and while they were howling in pain, he threw out a stack of holding charms. Throw out another container for puppets, roll the dozen puppet souls into the container with a whip, seal it, and cast a sealing formation on it. After finishing it, get on the carriage again and go to Fuyuan Street. Ling Mansion. Ms. Dong wore an ordinary and inconspicuous dress. After quietly going out, she hired a carriage from a horse and carriage dealer and went straight to East Yulin Street. After getting off the bus, Ms. Dong took out a bunch of copper coins to pay the fare and sent the driver away. I looked back and found nothing wrong, so I walked through 2 small streets. Finally, we came to a secluded Chunfeng tea house, walked around to the back, looked back for a while, and then walked into the backyard. Standing in front of a private room, Mr. Dong looked around again, then raised his hand and knocked lightly on the door. Soon, a maid came over and opened the door. Ms. Dong stepped in and walked around a landscape screen. When she saw the girl sitting by the window, who was wearing exquisite and luxurious clothes, She immediately broke into a smile. Walking over quickly, Dong couldn't wait to ask, "Yao, how are you doing recently?" The girl was drinking from a cup of tea, but the maid who had just opened the door said proudly, "Of course our girl is doing well. The emperor just made her the county princess a few days ago." "Really, that's great." The smile on Dong's face became even brighter. After the maid served the tea, she turned around and exited the private room, closing the door for the two of them. Mr. Dong knew that the maidservant was a confidant and would guard the door to prevent others from approaching. "So, Yao, are the prince and princess okay with you?" Han Yao put down the teacup and said with a smile, "They have always been very good to me, you don't have to worry." "That's good, you're doing well, then." The self-proclaimed statement was almost on her lips. Han Yao's brows furrowed, and she could only swallow it back. Forced a smile and then continued, "Then I'll be relieved." As soon as Dong finished speaking, the smile on Han Yao's face faded. "Although this tea house is clean and there are not many people, you still have to pay attention to the fact that the walls have ears. There are some things that you should not say if you can." The smile on Dong's face froze, and a sense of disappointment surged in her heart. It has been more than 10 years, and she has never called that name even once. It would be a lie to say that she is not disappointed. At this moment, she felt bitter in her heart, and regret was spreading. Han Yao raised her eyes and glanced at her, took out a banknote from her purse and pushed it to Dong's hand. "I know you've been having a hard time recently, so take this banknote and use it. You don't want other people to know about our relationship. Only when I live well can you live well. Don't worry, I will always remember your identity." It was not easy to meet him. Dong did not want to make the atmosphere tense, so he finally smiled. "You are right, you should be cautious. As long as you live well, then I will feel at ease." Seeing that the smile returned to Dong's face, Han Yao said, "How is she doing recently? Why did I hear that she was seriously ill and fell into a coma not long ago, and the doctor asked her to prepare for the funeral? How come she didn't die, but came back to life?" Ms. Dong frowned. Although she didn't want to mention the disaster star, it was obvious that she was curious and couldn't bear to refuse. "Originally, the doctor was asked to prepare for the funeral, and I thought she would not survive. Unexpectedly, the commander of the Imperial Guards hired an Imperial doctor for her, and then he revived her." Han Yao's face turned cold. It was Master Ning who hired an Imperial doctor for her. No wonder she was able to escape death. What kind of death disaster? Han Yao came back to her senses and shook her head quickly. "It's nothing. Even if she didn't die, the real person's words reminded her that it would be better to keep the disaster star than to let her die. From now on, she will be able to continuously gain merit and luck from her, just like cutting leeks." Although the emperor made her the county princess, she wanted to be the county princess even more. Han Yao took out a piece of talisman paper and handed it to Dong. "Take this talisman paper back and put it away. It will be of great use to me. As for how to use it, I will send someone to inform you in the future." Ms. Dong originally wanted to ask what use it would be to her, but seeing that she didn't want to say more, she had no choice but to give up. Seeing her carefully putting the talisman paper into her purse, Han Yao felt satisfied. "Okay, I'm leaving first. I have to go to Fuyuan Street. My mother-in-law's birthday is coming soon, so I have to pick out some jade for her. Make jewelry. Thanks to 1509300201295575, Lue, Yeo, Fengguo 23 and other book friends for their monthly support. Thanks to China Fuzi, Lue, Feng Kishan, Xiang Buletin Chuming, 20230521742110, Zeng, Yangliuan, Cat and Mouse Go Buletin Wan, UN1. Why We Grow Old, 20170318191430835835, A. Z, 854-729, The Starry Sky is Wild Fleeing Time, Prose. BA, 200908811. By the recommendation votes of book friends such as Dark Starry Night. Thanks to Hungzia for supporting book friends. Thanks to Zioxiang's book friends for their support. Every day I silently follow the support of all new and old book friends. It's great that I'm not alone. End of this chapter. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 178. The most important thing when coming here is to hand over the talisman to Mr. Dong. With the matter finished, Han Yao got up and left the private room without any regret. Even though Mrs. Dong was reluctant to leave and had many things to say to her, she knew that she would not stay much longer. He reluctantly watched her walk out of the private room, and took a long time to look back. Looking down at the banknote in his hand, he felt bitterness in his heart again. For her, a mere 200 taels were spent, but Han Yao had to go and choose jadeite for Princess Dingyuan herself. The difference between the two is really big. What can be done? It was her own choice in the first place, and she cannot regret it. She did nothing wrong. If Yao had followed her, he would suffer in Ling Mansion just like Qing. How can I still live a noble life in Dingyuan Prince's mansion, and now I have been made the county head by the emperor? Yao's life will not be bad in the future, she will only get better and better. It was Qing who suffered along with her. She had to think of a way to find a future for Qing. Wait until they are all married before supporting Hao. In the future, when the eldest son becomes an official, he can apply for a royal title for his mother. In order not to regret it, Dong could only try his best to look forward. Xiaoji drove a carriage to Fuyuan Street. Initially, she didn't know why her girl came here. It wasn't until Ling Chu took her and Lu Xiangju into the Jade Pavilion that she knew she was here to buy jade. Qiu Pavilion was opened by Lu Gui, Lu Gonggong's nephew. After Ling Chu entered the store with two maids, a waiter immediately came to greet him. Hearing that Ling Chu wanted to buy jadeite, the boy took them into the backyard. This Jade Pavilion is a small building with 2 floors. It mainly sells various head and face jewelry made of jade. The jewelry on the lower floor is all mid to low end, while the jewelry on the upper floor is high quality. The jadeite stones are all placed in the backyard. Ling Chu was a little surprised when he saw the piles of rough stones in the yard. There were hundreds of large and small stones. Ling Chu was surprised, but when she saw a Taoist nun and 2 maids walking in, those who were selecting rough stones were even more surprised than she was. Did this Taoist nun go to the wrong place? Just as he was surprised, Lu Gui and the shopkeeper, the owner of Qiu Pavilion, were walking out of a room inside. Seeing Ling Chu in Taoist robes, both of them were stunned. But Lu Gui quickly remembered what his uncle had told him, and hurriedly walked over with a smile on his face. "Excuse me, are you Ling Xiangwu?" Ling Chu nodded, seeing that his face was somewhat similar to eunuch Lu, and guessed his identity, but Mr. Liu's family. Thinking of this Taoist nun's ability, Lu Gui's smile became even brighter. "I'm just here, I wonder if the Taoist nun wants to buy raw jadeite." "Exactly. I don't know what price Xiangu wants, I can introduce it to you." "No hurry, I'll take a look first." "That's alright, you can look at it as you like, and if you need anything, just give me orders." After listening to the conversation between the two, everyone present looked surprised. They have seen the Taoist nun's fortune telling before, but this is their first time seeing the Taoist nun buying raw jadeite. They were also surprised by Lu Dong's attitude. They knew that Dong Liu's family relied on eunuch Liu's power, and most people could not get into his eyes. I didn't expect that his attitude towards the Taoist nun would be so respectful today. Although Ling Chu noticed their surprised looks, he didn't pay attention. She was looking down at the rough stones carefully. Although Lu Dongjia did not follow her, he called a young man to come and stand by. If Ling Chu didn't understand something, he would explain it to her in a low voice. These rough stones are divided into several piles. Some price based on weight, while others sell by the piece. Others are distinguished by the mine site, the various qualities, color, transparency, texture, size, and shape of the rough stone surface, etc. Hence, the price of jadeite rough stones ranges widely, from a few taels to tens of thousands of taels. Ling Chu didn't have much money on hand, so he had to use every penny wisely. She couldn't afford the high-priced ones, so she could only buy the highest quality rough stones at the lowest price. As the saying goes, it is difficult for gods to break jade. The surface of these rough stones does not look much different from ordinary stones. It is really impossible to tell whether there is jade inside with the naked eye. In order not to waste money, Ling Chu still opened the system and scanned it. With so many rough stones, she did not scan them all. Ling Chu started with the ones with the lowest prices. She didn't look at those that cost tens of thousands of taels. She couldn't afford them anyway. As he was scanning the system, he suddenly heard a dissatisfied voice coming from behind. Dong Liu's family, why can cats and dogs come in so easily in Qiu Pavilion now? Hearing this, everyone turned their heads and saw a luxuriously dressed girl walking over with her maid. The girl's face was sullen, and her eyes glanced at the Taoist nun intentionally or unintentionally. When Lu Dongjia saw the person coming, he hurriedly came forward with a smile on his face. I told you why you heard the cry of magpies early this morning. It turns out that there are distinguished guests coming. Whatever Miss Han wants today, you can see and pick whatever you want. We will definitely give you the best price. As soon as Lu Dongjia finished speaking, the maid immediately said with a proud look on her face, our girl is now the head of Wenan County, and the emperor just named her a few days ago. Lu Dongjia was stunned for a moment, then put on a smile. I'm sorry, it turns out that the emperor has given the girl the title of county lord. Congratulations to the county lord, congratulations to the county lord, and then turned to the shopkeeper beside him, go and get that new weapon quickly. Bring the engraved plum blossom hosta as a gift to the county chief. Several men picking out jade stones were all businessmen, and one of them was Zhao Xingxiang, the owner of Yangfu Xiang Gold Store. Zhao Dongjia recognized this person as the eldest daughter of Prince Ding Yuan. Hearing that she had been granted the title of county lord, they came over to congratulate her. Several other men who were selecting jade saw him going over to congratulate him, and they also gathered around him. Han Yao looked reserved on her face in response to these compliments, but she was both proud and disdainful in her heart. It turns out he is the county lord, no wonder he is so arrogant. Ling Chu glanced at the county master who was holding the moon in front of the stars, then quickly looked away and continued to scan the jadeite stones. Han Yao glanced around the Taoist robe, and finally landed on the face, and her heart tightened. She actually saw the shadows of her father and mother on the Taoist nun's face. Could it be that this Taoist nun is actually the disaster star? Didn't you say that you have been suffering from poor bones since you were a child, and that you were seriously ill and about to die not long ago? She originally thought that the Taoist temple was poor and the disaster star must have been no different from a village girl since she had grown up there. Unexpectedly, the other party had a graceful appearance, and that face brought together the best qualities of his father and mother. Han Yao's long nails pinched hard in her palms. No matter how good-looking she is, it doesn't matter. The Ling family has been defeated and is now just a low-status disaster star. She is now the county head. She is a noble lady that she cannot reach even if she raises her head or puts her toes up. Ling Chu, who was concentrating on scanning, suddenly felt a chill running down his back. She was being targeted. Every month at the end of the month, I see the list falling down one after another, and I feel very anxious. It's too difficult for me and I don't know how to move up. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 179. Ling Chu suddenly looked back and found that it was the county head who was staring at her. She frowned. Why did she feel that the county boss was staring at her as if he had a grudge against her? But she remembered that this was the first time she met the county lord. Since the two were strangers to each other, where could the hatred come from? I wanted to take a closer look, but the other party had already turned his head and walked aside with the maid, apparently to pick out rough stones. Unable to figure it out, Ling Chu simply put the matter behind him and continued scanning. I scanned more than 30 pieces in a row. They were all filled with white stones, and I couldn't see any green at all. Ling Chu couldn't help but smile bitterly. The pile of rough stones she chose was the cheapest in Kuya Pavilion, and the largest piece was less than 100 taels. It seems that it is not easy to pick out the missing stones from this pile of rough stones. I don't know if the pile next to it is also filled with white stones. Ling Chu looked at it again and again. He couldn't help but feel curious and planned to use the system to see what happened. The pile of rough stones next to her happened to have a few larger ones, so she decided to scan those ones. The system scans other things, and the speed is always very fast. Ling Chu discovered that scanning these raw jade stones would be much slower. She scanned 3 pieces in a row, but no jade was found inside. When she scanned the 4th piece, a refreshing emerald green jumped into her eyes. Seeing this beautiful color, Ling Chu couldn't help but feel refreshed. But when she controlled the system to continue scanning, her expression suddenly became stunned. The emerald green is gone. Could it be that she was dazzled by looking at it for too long? But she felt it was impossible. Blinked, turned the system on again and scanned it again. When you first catch your eye, it is indeed a very beautiful emerald green, but when you scan the back, it is all white stones. She was right, this piece of jadeite was actually skin green. The so-called skin green means that except for the skin layer which contains jade, the inside is all waste and there is no jade. Ling Chu shook his head and scanned a few more pieces. Although the pieces at the back contained emeralds, she suddenly lost interest. Forget it, it seems that the pile of rough stones next to it is not much better. She might as well continue to scan the ones in front of her, maybe there will be surprises later. Ling Chu retracted the system and was about to move forward when his feet suddenly tilted. Fortunately, the 2 maids were always beside her, and they reached out to help her, so that she did not fall. After standing firm, Ling Chu looked down and saw that he had accidentally stepped on a small round stone and almost fell down. He raised his foot and kicked the small stone aside. But as soon as he finished kicking, Ling Chu was stunned. She just seemed to see a touch of green from that small stone. I don't know if I saw it wrong. The stone is not only small, but also gray. Could there be jade in such an ugly stone? After hesitating for a few seconds, Ling Chu decided to scan it with the system. Ding! A low-level energy stone has been detected, which can help the system repair. Ling Chu was delighted. There was actually jade in this rough stone, which was only slightly larger than his fist. Although the quality is not high, since it can help repair the system, you can't miss it. Ling Chu stepped forward quickly, picked it up, turned around and asked the boy beside him, "What's the price of this material?" The young man was stunned. It turned out that he had been looking at the Taoist nun for a long time and never saw her make a purchase. He thought she had come to Kuya Pavilion to join in the fun. He didn't expect that he would take action now. Although the piece of material was pitifully small, he didn't dare to have any objections. After all, his boss had asked him to serve the Taoist nun attentively. "Xiangwu, do you want this piece of material?" Seeing Ling Chu nod, the boy smiled and said, "This piece of material is small, it only costs 5 taels of silver." As soon as the young man finished speaking, a sneer came from the side, A Taoist nun is so poor that she almost goes to beg for food, and she even imitates others in betting on stones. Ling Chu turned his head and saw that the county lord's maid was looking at them with disdain. Xiaji was so angry that she put her hands on her hips and said, "What's wrong with Taoist nun gambling on stones? It didn't cost your family's money. My maid is just kind-hearted and worried that you will lose the bet. Although 5 taels of silver is not much, your fortune-telling is only 10 or 20 cents, right? It will take you several days to earn these 5 taels of silver. If you gamble, I must feel very sad if I lose." The county owner seems to have good intentions, but the look on her face is as disdainful as her maid. "Don't worry about it, Lord County, I haven't even seen it yet, just a few taels of silver." Ling Chu replied quietly, turned around and continued scanning. She didn't know why the county lord was so hostile to her, but she didn't bother to pay more attention. Having that time to compete for verbal advantage, it is better to scan a few more rough stones. Han Yao snorted in her heart. She could tell at a glance that Disaster Star's method of selecting rough stones didn't understand stone gambling. But it's useless even if she knows how to choose. The Ling mansion has been defeated, and she can't afford any money to buy good materials. Moreover, the pile of rough stones is all waste material screened out by the jade pavilion after many layers of selection. It is almost impossible to have jade in it. It is best to buy more, and when you cut it open later and find that there is no jade, it is best to lose everything. Ling Chu scanned the pile of rough stones in front of him and finally picked out 5 pieces of different sizes. These have jade in them, and the quality is pretty good. But after thinking about it, in order to avoid others being suspicious, Ling Chu took 2 more pieces without jade and put them together. Together with the piece that his sprained foot stepped on in the first place, there were 8 pieces in total. Lu Dongjia has been paying close attention to Ling Chu secretly. Seeing that she had already picked something, he hurriedly came over with the shopkeeper. After fiddling with the abacus a few times, the shopkeeper quickly calculated the price. Lu Dongjia glanced at the numbers on the abacus and said with a smile, "Ling Xiangwu, the total is 406 taels. If you bought more, I will wipe out the change for you. Just give me 400 taels." Ling Chu nodded in agreement and just signaled Xiaji to give the banknote to Lu Dong's family. Unexpectedly, the county head suddenly said, "Ling Xiangwu, are you the eldest granddaughter of the former Minister of Household Affairs? Your Ling mansion is different from the past. I advise you to think twice. Betting on stones is no joke. If there is no jade in it, the 400 taels will be in vain." Lu Dongjia's smile froze, and he actually ruined his business in front of him. If this was not a girl from Dingyuan Prince's palace, but an ordinary person, he would definitely sweep her out with a broom. Ling Chu frowned. The county lord, whom he had never met before, was too lenient. "Don't worry about it, Lord County. Although I'm not as rich as you, I can still get 400 taels." The maid behind the county lord snorted coldly, "You are obviously poor, but you still want to make a fool of yourself." It took a long time to choose, but it was only a mere 400 taels. She pretended to be relaxed, but she was feeling very distressed in her heart. It seems that the Ling mansion it was indeed defeated. Ling Chu's face turned cold. It seems that the county master is indeed from a wealthy family and is not short of money. The maid's nostrils turned upward. "My county master comes from Dingyuan Prince's palace, so of course he is not short of money." "Really? I wonder if the county owner can afford the rough stones next to them." Ling Chu pointed at the pieces of material she had just scanned. Thanks to 201906050146500279 and Jiangnan Fueo for their monthly ticket support. Thanks to Tian Yulan, Kingsha Wanzhuang, Zheng, Yuan Wan, Yangliuan, if life is just like the first time we met. Pigs on a sunny day, 201703181914308335, Jane, China Fuse, white clouds in the sky L, 200908111, why do we grow old, cats and mice don't even play, lazy people are not lazy. Ed, at this moment, laugh with you, be happy, the heartbeat on the left is waiting for recommendation votes from book friends. Thanks to the book friends who support Hungziu. Thanks to the book friends who support Hungziu. I made a fortune by raiding houses in ancient times. Author, Half-Life Calligraphy. Chapter 180. Chapter 180. One knife makes you rich and the other makes you poor. Han Yao followed the direction of Ling Chu's finger and looked at the rough stones next to her. What a coincidence, the pieces pointed by the disaster star were exactly what she wanted to buy. Dr. Lu, I want these rough stones. Please calculate the price, Han Yao asked Lu Gui calmly, but with a bit of arrogance in her expression. Ling Chu raised an eyebrow, but she just stabbed it casually. Did the county owner really buy it? Lu Gui was stunned. Although he wanted to complete this business, he was afraid that the county owner would regret it after buying it, in case something happened to him later. After hesitating for a while, he said cryptically, County Master, those pieces are the best in quality in our jade pavilion, and they are so big that it is inconvenient to transport them back. How about you look at the others? Ling Chu glanced at the arrogant county master and said softly, Dong Liu's family is right. No matter how rich the Dingyuan palace is, the money will not be brought by the strong wind. The county master should not squander it carelessly, in case something happens. If there is no jade inside, the money will be wasted. No need, even if the Lu Dong family offers a price, it's only 2,000 to 3,000 taels, so I haven't taken it seriously yet. Han Yao looked arrogant and disdainful. If those wealthy businessmen had such an attitude, Lu Gui would definitely quote the price without saying a word. But this county lord is from the Dingyuan prince's palace, so it is better not to offend him as much as possible. After all, these rich and noble ladies have always been erratic in doing things, changing at will, and he has seen many unreasonable things. Lu Gui was happy when he saw that she insisted on buying it, but in order not to offend Prince Dingyuan as much as possible, he still said something cryptic, County Lord, those pieces of material are all produced in the most famous old pit. County Lord, I must have seen that those pieces of material performed well in all aspects, and for the price. Han Yao's maid asked him impatiently, Okay, Mr. Lu, just tell me how much it will be. It's so annoying to grind and chirp, but my county boss is not one of those low-income people who pretends to be fat. Lu Gui was unhappy because both the master and the servant looked down upon others. Since people didn't want to accept his kindness, there was no need for him to be kind and said directly, the largest piece is 4,300 taels, the brown piece is 3,900 taels, and the square piece is 3,760 taels, 5 taels, and the other two pieces, the big one is 2,320 taels, and the small one is 2,110 taels. The shopkeeper next to him stopped using the abacus and directly quoted the total price, 16,385 taels. Lu Gui nodded and looked at Han Yao with a smile on his face, the county master bought too much, so I'll pay you a small change. I just need to give you 16,300 taels. As soon as Lu Gui finished speaking, the maid was dumbfounded, it's so expensive, are you robbing money? This price was obviously beyond the maid's expectation. Han Yao next to her also looked stiff. She thought that the few pieces of material were only about 3,000 taels at most. Lu Dongjia's face darkened when he heard what the maid said, the county master should know whether I am robbing money. As I said just now, those pieces of material came from the most famous old pit, and the performance is my jadeite, the best batch in the hotel. Glancing at the increasingly gloomy face of the county master, Lu Dongjia changed his tone abruptly, why don't you, the county master, take a look at the materials on the side? Although his uncle was the in charge of Jingxiuyuan, He actually did not have much weight in front of the dignitaries of Dingyuan Palace, and he did not want to offend the county owner. At worst, he won't do this business today. Ling Chu glanced at the sullen master and servant, and smiled softly. Dong Liu's family has made the situation clear enough. Since the county master doesn't have enough money, he can choose other materials. The county master still lets your maid should pay attention to her words and deeds. It is not easy for Dong Liu's family to open a shop and make a living. How can we do business if she ruins her reputation by yelling casually? Seeing the smile on the disaster star's face, Han Yao's face became more and more gloomy. More than 10,000 taels was beyond her budget, but she had already boasted so much that she couldn't let that laugh at her. Quiliu, give me the banknote. The maid secretly complained in her heart, how could she have so many banknotes? Seeing everyone looking at her, the maid secretly gritted her teeth and looked embarrassed. County master, I went out today and only brought 3,600 taels with me. Han Yao glared at her fiercely, feeling that everyone looked at her with ridicule. He gritted his teeth and took off the bracelet on his hand. Mr. Liu, this bracelet was given by the imperial concubine. Is it enough to cover the remaining money? That's enough, that's enough. The bracelet given by the imperial concubine was a hot potato. The Liu family didn't want it. It was obvious that Han Yao insisted on buying those few pieces of material, so he had to accept it. Han Yao was not completely stimulated by Ling Chu. She was originally optimistic about those pieces of material and wanted to buy them, but she didn't expect the price to be so expensive. But it doesn't matter, she is not the disaster star, and she doesn't understand anything. She had learned from a master who specializes in stone gambling. Those pieces of material were produced in Laoken, and she had carefully looked at them. Whether they were mango belts, pine flowers, etc., they were all very good. She judged that there were not only jade but also jade in them. Still of the highest quality. As long as she cuts the rough stones and digs out the jade inside, it won't be a problem to sell them for 100,000 taels. That bracelet was a gift from the imperial concubine. Of course she would not just mortgage it to Lu Gui and then ask him to get it back after selling the jadeite. Seeing that the county owner had bought all the jadeite stones, Ling Chu felt secretly happy, hoping that he wouldn't cry too hard after cutting them open. Look, it's green. Ling Chu was thinking about leaving with the two maids when he suddenly heard an excited shout. It turned out that someone was unraveling the stone. Hearing the news, those who were selecting rough stones all rushed over. Ling Chu was curious for a moment and walked over. Boss Cao, I'll pay you 10,000 taels, can you transfer this piece of material to me? A businessman wearing dark satin looked at the man named Cao with a smile. I will pay 15,000. 20,000. 25,000. Listening to everyone's quotations, Mr. Zhao from Yangfuxiang waved his hand arrogantly. 50,000. Zhao Xingxiang looked at the cut jadeite, his eyes shining. The water was so transparent and the color was emerald green. It was a rare and good material. Everyone sighed inwardly. Yangfuxiang's boss was indeed very wealthy. Just when everyone thought that the man named Cao would sell the piece of jade to Zhao Dongjia, he shook his head and said, Zhao Dongjia, I want to cut all of this piece of material. Zhao Xingxiang was stunned. Although he was disappointed, there was nothing he could do. After all, the jade was not his. Cao Shun was excited. He was so lucky to cut out such high-quality jadeite with the first cut. Next, cut this side. Cao Shun gestured on the rough stone to signal to the man in charge of cutting. The guy nodded and raised his knife. As the cut surface was exposed, the smile on Cao Shun's face disappeared visibly. Some people even exclaimed, the green is gone. The people present shook their heads and sighed. It was true that gambling on stones made one rich and one poor, and the 50,000 taels were gone in the blink of an eye. It's the end of the month, all handsome guys and beauties, please give me a ticket. End of this chapter.